I think great way to start. The first session was so insightful, and I'm so looking forward to the next sessions on GCC. What a one of a kind of summit to have, where we are talking about tapping into all the strengths of GCC. I think one thing that we all know today, we are going to hear about similar words, similar phrases, talking about ecosystem, talking about talent, talking about different kind of impact GCC is building, right? But the best part of each of these sessions, we are going to contextualize those words and phrases for each of the industry. So what you're going to do now, given insurance industry is of course part of very critical part of our life, healthcare and insurance, where we all rely on insurance at some part, starting from life insurance to health insurance to vehicle insurance to even insuring Messi's football legs, right? So insurance is almost everywhere. So we definitely need to think about how GCC is impacting, revolutionizing insurance sector, and then focus on the risk part of it, the customer part of it, the operations part of it. We'll also talk about some of the opportunities, some of the challenges that insurance industry is facing with this technology advancement, but then we'll focus on what can be done, what is our takeaway, and what is the best way to handle those challenges, looking at the future landscape of insurance. Now, interesting discussion coming up with our esteemed panelists here. Thanks for the introduction. We have Prashant. Prashant is actually head of GBC Strategy and Operations in Swiss Re. He has 18 plus years of experience in consulting and management, driving transformative initiatives specific to the insurance industry. Welcome, Prashant.
Thank you. It's an honor and a pleasure to be here.
Awesome. Thank you. We have Prawal here. Prawal is actually a managing director with Mars India. He leads the country for medicine Mars benefits, and he has over 20 years of experience as a health and benefits specialist. So thank you for being part of this panel.
Thank you so much.
And with the promise of ensuring that this panel is a little bit insightful and a little bit fun, I'm here Rajni as head of AI platform in Sharp, and I'll be chairing this panel. So let's start with our panel discussion. I actually was telling Prashant and Prabal, I really want to start this discussion with a joke. And we said, yes, why not? So let's do this. So basically there was a statistician, I'm actually a mathematician from background, so let's move the joke from maths to stats. So there was a statistician who was, from so many days scratching his head and thinking about what model, what stuff I can build, which can take care of every risk possible, which can take care of certainty of risk and uncertainty of risk, which can actually think about and predict future better and actually be very, very beneficial. How can I think about a scenario? And there came an insurance agent. He came and said, you know what, I have something for you. I have a life insurance, and that comes with a very comprehensive benefits, and we have covered it all. And unfortunately, the statistician is no more because he had to use the life insurance policy at some level. Okay, looks like that wasn't very funny, but let's go to the funny part. And that's where we are going to start with some of these questions. If you look at this very specific joke, right? Statistician thinking about solving a problem in the insurance industry, thinking about this life insurance product with comprehensive advantages. Insurance industry from a foundation basic perspective has not changed for a long time. In 1583 in London, there was first insurance policy that was sold. So we are talking about an industry which is almost 5,000 years old. But then from past couple of years, given this advanced technology, improvements, these advanced technologies coming up, there are multiple other companies, there are startups which are actually challenging this insurance industry. There is a company which is called Lemonade that actually has an insurance which is peer-to-peer insurance. Right? It actually combines the industry experts with the insurance experts which are given to customers. Now this creates a lot of pressure on some of the insurance companies and GCCs to ensure that they are actually competing with the right technology, thinking about the product evolution and the whole re-architecturing of the solution from that perspective. So I'll probably pose this question to you, Prashant, in terms of this transformation technology. What do you think what are the key technologies the industry is using, how it is impacting and transforming the insurance industry per se.
Yeah, thank you, Rashmi. So I think while the insurance industry sounds old and boring, I think there is a lot going on right at the bottom of it. I can talk about Srisri as well. We're a 160-year-old company, but the way we're trying to transform ourselves is also significant. But it's just not us. If you look at the industry, it's getting more personalized, right? You're seeing new and new products and solutions coming out, and that is being enabled because of the extent of data and what you can do with the data today, and the kind of possibilities that new technologies like AI, Gen AI, etc. bring to the table, right? So if you look at the insurance industry, it's always been a backward-looking industry, right? So whether you do your pricing, your costing, your reserving, your actuarial analysis, if you look at, it's always backward-looking, right? But you come to a point where, for a lot of the personal lines products, right, you now don't need to speak to an underwriter, and that's been the case for the last, I would say, 20-25 years, right? Where if you want to go and buy a regular motor insurance, now I'm not talking about a Ferrari or a Lamborghini, maybe there you may need to still get some specified, advice or pricing advice. For the others, you can just buy them off the shelf, and your end-to-end journey is less than 5 minutes, typically, right? That now is being extended, right, with a lot more insight into, the small and medium-sized businesses, right? Increasingly, you are moving towards, more data-driven models which are self-service, which are giving a lot of, predictive analytics and solutions which are driving a lot of change. So there's a lot of disruption happening. There's a whole kind of, I would say, parallel ecosystem which is being developed on things like parametric insurance, right? Where you, going forward, if you have those lines or if you have those, covers, you don't even have to raise a claim, right? I mean, if an event happens, it's data-driven, it's recorded by certain, measurement bodies, and you get to know, the event is happening and you get a payout. Like, for example, your flight delay product. Increasingly, if your flight is delayed, you don't need to even raise a claim. If you are covered, you will get a payout, right? And increasingly, the same thing can be extrapolated to natural catastrophe events, right? So if you have an earthquake or if you have a kind of a large event, you may get a payout even before the event itself ends, right? Because there is now data, there is modeling which can tell you, how the event is unfolded. So there's a lot going on, but there's a lot still to do, right? I think that's what I'm getting at. Now, to your second point, the GCC space, I think GCCs are uniquely placed, right? I mean, if you look back on the journey, they started with a lot of, in the insurance sector with a lot of operations, right? You were looking at the value chain and supporting the operations in terms of, the business management of it, right from kind of the policy submission to the time putting it in the systems, etc. You were looking at the claims, the claim administration, you were looking at all of the operations, right? But with that, over time comes business knowledge. And now you're doing advisory, you're providing costing advisory, you're providing reserving advisory, and with that business context, and now if you add the technology layer on it, you're really raising the bar where you can bring in really powerful insights, innovation, back to the group companies, back to your parent organization in a very different and meaningful way. So I think GCC are uniquely placed and to drive that.
Perfect. So with the innovation of products, the GCCs are actually aligned to deliver in the right direction. Prabal, I'll probably take the same question to you from a business perspective. What do you think the GCC is impacting from a business perspective, and how do you actually see the impact happening?
Thanks, Rajni. I think I'll put it more in context of about an organization, Mars McLennan, and he spoke about insurance being centuries old. I do believe that this is one of the oldest industry, across all ecosystem that you can think of. Mars McLennan itself is 152-year young organization. I'm not saying old organization. So we are present 50 plus years in the world today, with more than 85,000 colleagues globally and 130 countries. So, and then you talk about technology transforming a business as old as ours and as diversified in terms of presence and in terms of colleagues, everything, right? So we do realize the overwhelming, possibilities that's there for all of us, and it's for good. At Mars McLennan, what we did post Gen AI and our revolution, let's say, in 2022, last year we launched our own privately secured AI platform, Lane AI. We did this out of our Dublin Innovation Center. It's used by all 85,000 colleagues globally, and it's an everyday AI technology, and we use it both on the business side as well as on the GCC side. We have more than 8,000 colleagues in our global capability center here. So, and another 2,000 colleagues in the business side of the world. And all 85,000 colleagues work this everyday AI technology to, enhance our productivity, to do things better, to innovate, to scale up, and bring more value for our clients. So I think we need to look at it this way that yes, technology is impacting us, and especially OpenAI is going to impact us even more profoundly. And earlier we adopt, earlier we embrace this, is better for all of us and for our clients.
Amazing, amazing, and it's so nice to hear from you, Praveen, because from a business side of view, we create, the technologies create, but the challenge is for the business to adopt, and it's so nice to look at the numbers and see that the adoption is actually going in the right direction. Let's talk about the core components from mostly AI and ML perspective. Prashant, maybe I can pose this question to you. Risk management is definitely critical, and how do you think some of the AI and technologies are helping us drive that risk management decision better? And if you can talk about some of the KPIs, matrix, or some success story where in insurance specifically we were able to do it better, much better.
Sure. So I'll take this with again, I'm close to it. We called ourselves always a risk knowledge company. Right? But 3 years back, we changed our stand. Right? We said we are a data and tech-enabled risk knowledge company. Right? So I think given the profound impact of technology and what it can do, I think we've taken that global stand. Right? So we're a technology-first company now. We are 160 years old, older than Marsh, but yeah, I won't say old there again. I think we're a 160-year-old young company, right? But I think if I just give an example, right? So we had the traditional reinsurance business, right, which was insurance for insurers, right, in a very simple way. But what we've done is we've opened a separate business unit called Solutions, and we're actually working on solutions, which are B2B2C, where we're working with our, all our insurance companies across the world, and we're giving them solutions which we can take to the market, or we're directly working with them on those solutions. Give you one example, right? There's a solution called Rapid Damage Assessment. It's called RDA. What it does is basically it looks at the pre or post catastrophe event, right? And if you just now take an example of a hurricane which is about to hit, large hurricane about to hit the coast of Florida, right? What we do is, we have imagery which is pre-event, during event, and post-event. And we have tied up with various ecosystem partners, right, to give us drone imagery, satellite imagery, and various other modes of imagery which tells us how the event is developing, right? Now we open these models up, right, and what clients can overlay on top of that is they can overlay their exposure, right? They know exactly how many cars, how many houses, how many people, they have exposure to, how many policies they have owned, right? All of a sudden, post-event, they know what kind of damage they're looking at, right? What is their exposure? With the financial markets the way they are today, post-event, the first thing that gets asked to any CEO or any board member is, okay, the event has happened, what is your exposure? Can you quantify your exposure, right? What will you reserve for it? Right? And your stock price depends upon how accurately you go about answering that question. So I think in that context, right, the more precise you can be, the better. Because one of the things that any financial analyst hates is that you go and say, I think our exposure is going to be X billion, and 2 weeks later you say, now I have access to more data, and I think it's going to be 2 times what I predicted, right? And you see your stock price tanking, right? So I think all of these, help. And then this is one aspect to it. The other aspect is because you have access to all the imagery, you have access to all of the damage that has unfortunately happened. You can prioritize where you want to send a register, how quickly you want to make a payout. There are so many customers you can already reach out to them proactively, say, hey, we know you've been affected. Here is a sum of money. While we do the entire due diligence or the assessment in a thorough manner, here is something that will keep you going. Right? And this is just one example of where you can bring technology together along with the old concepts of risk management, better underwriting, better pricing, better your customers, but do it in a very quick manner, very proactive manner.
Amazing, what an example. I think all of us who are from Bangalore would want that to happen, so that all our cars that are getting flooded because of all Bangalore rains, we should be able to get a very fast claims. And that's what I see, right? Because insurance is part of our life, day-to-day life. Some of these advancements are going to actually individually help us in multiple ways. I'll probably switch the question a little bit around for you, because again, from a business perspective, I want your thought in terms of the customer success, customer experience, and operational excellence perspective. So again, from a GCC impacting or changing some of these technology or infrastructure, how it is helping you drive better customer excellence, and how it is also helping you manage the cost better, so that you can actually bring in that operational excellence.
Sure. So Rajni, I think, like I spoke about the Lane AI, and it's an everyday AI tech platform, and we are seeing that 20% of many repetitive automated work, repetitive tasks which can be automated, we are able to achieve at least 20% efficiency in many of these areas, and the global captive is supporting us in many of these journeys. That is something that we recently spoke about in terms of operational efficiency. And even in the area of risk assessment, which Prashant spoke very passionately about, we have actuarial teams, and actuarial teams should do what they are supposed to do. That's actual science and bringing value around that. But many times they are actually having to do a lot of data cleaning and data formatting, getting the data prepared. But that's where advanced analytics tool, which are developed by our GCC community, is able to create that efficiency by ensuring that they are actually spending less time in preparing data or formatting data, extracting data, but more time in actually putting that data to use. So that's the best in case example that I can speak of even in the risk assessment side. Take an example of, let's say, even the chatbots that typically used to run only on ML, but now we are talking about AI influenced chatbot, AI powered chatbot, and we are able to therefore widen the client base to whom we are going with our chatbots, and the kind of work that it can do is far more deeper and more meaningful and bringing more value to the client. We spoke about innovation, so I'll give an example of typically, and again, taking cue from what Prashant spoke about in terms of risk assessment, and again, a lot of work that any insurance broker or insurer would do is around CAT modeling or around, let's say, risk inspection, risk engineering. In CAT modeling, for example, more than 50% time has been saved by using some of the advanced predictive models. And again, this all work has been done by our global captive. So we really, believe that it's adding so much value to our business, and therefore we are investing more in building capability in our GCC. We spoke about, to speak about innovation. Think about a risk inspection that's to be done, and the age-old way of doing a risk inspection would be to actually go and visit and see the situation around it, assess the risk, inspect the risk, and do more risk engineering, work around it. But now with remotely, we can do a lot of this work using digital footprinting technology. So when you use a digital footprinting technology, you are doing it remotely. One, you are able to save time, cost, and what it does is also therefore able to do it for a wider base of clients, because physically doing those risk inspection, risk engineering in every part of the world will add that much to your manpower, add that much to your time being spent, effort being spent, and dollars being spent. But when you do it remotely using advanced digital footprinting technology, you can save dollars, you can save manpower, and also the experience of the customer is far more deeper.
Perfect. And again, it's coming back to how you can do things in a much more precise way,
yes,
and faster way,
absolutely,
right? So that you will be able to improve the customer experience. Maybe I can share also my experience, because I'm a global AI head, and there's a lot of things sometimes when I open my email, look at some of these conferences and LinkedIn posts, I see, oh my God, there are some beautiful techniques, technologies that are available, and my quick instinct is, can I just go and ask my team to build that technology? But trust me, as being part of the insurance industry, our first step is to ensure that whatever we build is SIC, which is secure, innovative, and compliant. That's where some of the data compliance, that's where some of the regulatory management becomes very, very critical part to it. And if I can just quote the latest banana report that was given by PwC, the top 3 risks and challenges that insurance industry will face in next years is cyber threat, regulation, and climate change. And all of this is actually related to data and data security, right? So as we talk about these technologies advancement, making risk management precise, making sure that the customer experience is much, much better, we are talking about very personalized and sensitive data. And as an insurance expert, I can very well say that we are navigating through this challenge. We are looking at, thinking about building these frameworks which can be compliant to some of these new regulation and data security policies. How many of you know about GDPR? Just raise your hand, GDPR. Perfect. For me, anything that we start from an AI product building or platform building perspective, we first build the team who understand GDPR. We build policies, we build processes, we build, team stakeholders and some of the other people who can come together and see whatever products that is being built and that is being shared with the customers if it's GDPR compliance or not, right? So compliance and data security and regulation is definitely a good and critical part, and that's going to impact the future of industry, insurance industry landscape. Talking about the future, maybe I can come to Prashant. Prashant, what's the future trend that you see that will probably impact insurance industry from technology advancement perspective? And maybe if I can add a little bit of more component essence of GCC in that question, how do you think a leader, an executive leader, can actually foster innovative environment and drive that innovation within their team members so that we are future ready?
Sure, that's a good question, so my previous example that I gave on the RDA product, by the way, is primarily run from our India GCC, right? So just to give an example of innovation. But your original question, I would break it down into 3 parts, right? I think the first part is that, with a lot of the new advanced technologies that are coming in, AI, if we take an example, there is a foundational element to it, right? So everyone now in the organization is pretty much equipped at their own kind of level. Now whether you're a starting analyst or you're the CEO, right? Everyone has access to generative AI technologies, right? Be it through Copilot or GitHub Copilot or so whether you're taking meeting notes or you're doing analysis or you're making presentations, everyone, the bar has been risen, right? So I think what used to take you an hour now takes you 20 minutes, right? Or whatever else, right? So there is a lot of efficiency that is being gained, and this has nothing to do with insurance, right? This is just an overall foundational industrial layer. I think efficiencies are going to get increased, right? And therefore the ask of doing things faster is definitely going to be there, right? So that's the first angle. Second is now, look at the computing power that is available, right? Now you can look at, in the insurance industry perspective, you can look at every submission that was made to you, whether you quoted for it or not, whether you got the business or not. You can pretty much put that submission, into a kind of a readable format, right? And draw inferences from it, right? And that then gives you the power to kind of price, cost, data and risk, which you would not perhaps not comfortable with, right? Where you would say, that kind of business we will not write. Why? Because we did not have the insight to make a firm decision. We would not allocate capital to provide risk coverage. So to me, I think there is a huge opportunity to kind of look at how you can now go into areas where you were not comfortable with in the past or you did not have access to the data, right? So that becomes that opens up a whole new avenue, right? And with that, a lot of the underwriting that you would do would be, backward looking in terms of, how the risk is played out, what the claims history has been, what your analysis is now telling you, right? Now imagine that is all automated, and it is getting automated. And we have examples where we've taken our life guide, right, which is the industry leading life underwriting module, and we put in a GenAI scout on it, where you can query around the world and get the best in class underwriting advice. And imagine that start getting done for every risk in every line of business. It's going to be profound, right, in terms of the ability to make the right judgment, right? Today, an underwriter could look at 5-10 cases. If they have the support of the right technologies, they can automate a lot of that. They just have to step in at the right critical areas. from the art of the possible, I think, we're just getting started. It's going to be a lot that can be done. Obviously, to prioritize, in certain aspects. But I think, with the foundation being strong, being fully equipped, and on top of that, you have all of these possibilities that you can explore, you can work towards, it's phenomenal, right? And the third aspect is the protection gap, right? Today, unfortunately, there are massive protection gaps. I mean, when an event happens, we realize that the insurable losses are a tiny amount of what should have been there. Right? So the opportunity for the upside for the industry itself is massive, right? So if you look globally, even in the advanced countries, right, where insurance has been deeply embedded, it's part of society, you see 30 to 40% coverage ratios, right? So in a country like India, where 90% plus, So the thing is, the upside of the market in terms of, going out there, giving more insurance is immense. And therefore, you will see innovation coming. The gap is there, so there are going to be players who are going to try and address that gap, and therefore the possibilities will get unleashed. Now, in terms of the GCC space, I think, because we've been doing this, we're process experts already. The parent already looks at all, as process experts because we've been running. Now you have a young crowd which is very, tech savvy. You can quickly experiment. You've got the right price points. So I think it puts us in a very unique position to kind of capture and work on that opportunity, right? And it's up to the leaders then to kind of foster that environment, build the right capabilities, do the right kind of level setting within their local organization to say, hey, this is the hub where you should do it, practice those sort of things. So I'm fairly optimistic.
Awesome. From starting from 1583 to automation itself is a long journey, and I'm sure there is much more to come. And of course, the leaders have a big role to play. Let's maybe again from the same context and expansion. My final question to you, Rahul, would be if you could give us some, your insights about the whole ecosystem from insurance point of view. We talked about leadership being fostering that environment. We talked about how AI is actually challenging some of the traditional approach. How does the ecosystem look like from talent perspective, process perspective, and what should we do so that we are future ready?
So I think that's the, we know the future of GCC in India is bright. We have as many reports all of us every day from 1600 to 2500 and beyond. So it's a bright future that we are speaking of and heading towards. But let's understand one thing, that we are in a polycrisis world. After COVID came in, post-COVID now we have Israel, we have a situation around Ukraine. So it's been a constant polycrisis world that we are in. I think for the global captives, it's very important for the GCC leaders in India to understand what the organizations are looking for, what the CEOs are looking for in terms of the value chain out there. So I think we need to balance cost, and we need to balance this, cost. We need to manage our cost better. We need to manage our risk better. So there has to be the right balance of risk and cost out there. So what is expected to be delivered, we need to understand that a little more and a little better. I think AI or any other technology will continue to innovate and evolve the whole ecosystem. That's given. You spoke about talent. I think in terms of talent, let's understand one thing, that today we have, the list is a single digit number, and possibly 60 to 70% of the global workforce is actually sitting in the GCC community in India. When you have talent which are as large and powerful as 50-60% of the global headcount sitting in India, we are talking about many global roles coming to India, and already I do see that when I travel the country and meet many GCC leaders, I do see that many of them are wearing hats which are regional or global. So that right exposure for our talent to those roles is very important. We should speak about collaboration out there. I think we in our own GCC we do see about how different teams are collaborating, and it's all about creating the right kind of culture to collaborate. So enable, I think as leaders, our role should be to enable that culture of collaboration where a data scientist and a researcher can sit next to each other and collaborate to bring more value on the table for our clients. So yes, I do believe that the future looks good, but we need to continuously remind ourselves of the polycrisis world we are sitting in, and look at therefore adding strategic value to the work that we do and bring more value to our clients and community.
Great. I think that was the last question. I don't think so we have time time for the questions from the audience. But if I have to summarize, I think even though we are an old industry, we're part of something that has been existed from a long, long time, but we are ready to adopt and evolve as the AI is adopting, evolving. We are thinking about using some AI technologies so that we can assess risk in a much precise manner, and the business is ready to actually think about those newer ways of working, and they are super excited. We have already come a long way, but still there is a bright future, and we should be able to make our customer experience much better going forward. Right? Thank you so much. I just wanted to leave with this thought: is exchange of ideas can actually is the best way of learning from each other. So I hope this discussion is useful. While we could not take any question, we will be on the floor or outside. Feel free to connect and ask your question that you might have. Thank you for being a wonderful and engaging audience. Sorry about that bad joke. Maybe I can figure out one and while we discuss something outside, or maybe learn something from you guys. Thank you so much. Thanks for the panelists for sharing such an insightful thought from your side. And thanks AIM and MachineCon for this wonderful opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you everyone. Thank you. Thanks.